Those keynote speaker knows about change. She grew up in the Soviet Union. She became an EU Commissioner and Commissioner of the Year. And when the financial crisis hit Europe, she went home to become president in her own country, which was then a NATO member. So change is something our keynote speaker has lived through and led through. And we're going to get some lessons from her today. I'd like to put one example into your heads before you meet our lady speaker. She had, as president of Lithuania, one meeting with the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, before she decided to get rid of Russian gas. What did she see? What did she learn? We're going to hear more about that. And in this session, you are invited to send your questions in with that slider working. You can write short questions and you will get answers. But first of all, we're going to meet now one of the strong leaders of our time and probably the only one with a black belt in karate. Please welcome the former president of Lithuania Dalia Grybauskaitė.
The story, what was touched a little bit, so I was lucky for my generation that Lithuanian independence was in our hands from the very beginning of 90s. We went through the restoration of our country to changing all laws from Soviet system to integrating and negotiating our way to European Union. I was negotiating free trade agreement with the European Union as a head of negotiations, then later association treaty, then became finance minister and prepared all Lithuania's economic laws for the membership. And finally, I was the first commissioner of Lithuania for budget. Not very sexy portfolio, but finally it appeared that it was a very important portfolio. Even I got the award because of that. So, but our history, recent 20 years of history, which today this year we're celebrating 20 years being European members and in NATO, gave us so many challenges, but so many opportunities. And practically we used them all. We created a country from very solid, flat level. We became European Union members. Our average of development was about 45% of European average. Now we about 90% of European average in 20 years. So having in mind that we have no oil, no gas, no mineral resources, only people, our commitment, our energy, and our will, and of course resilient, because we have a neighborhood who teaches us to be resilient, neighborhood who teaches us to survive. And then we saw these dangers coming from our nearest neighbor. We realized that whatever we went through is still not enough, and we still need to protect our freedom. And because of that, for us in our region, it was easier to say to our people that we need to get off Russian gas and energy pressure, because with energy tools, Russia always was buying our countries, was suppressing our countries, and was corrupting our political system. That was clear for me when I came in office, and after the first meeting with Putin, it was clear that with this country, you need, or at least not you need, but they were requesting us to kneel and surrender, or your enemy. That's the only choice. So I chose to get rid from Russian gas, and with your Norwegian support. We made a tender to build LNG terminal in Lithuania. 5 countries participated. including Canadians, Americans, French, and Norwegians. Russians did everything possible to take them out from the competition. Only Norwegians stayed. And with your company support, we in 2015 built the first from all region LNG terminal on the sea. And then crisis came in 2022. We being heroes. While in 2015 I was terribly attacked and criticized because of course it was more expensive to buy than from Russia. But we were making strategic decisions. And for us it was not difficult to explain to our people that freedom is priceless. And if necessary, you pay. But you have your freedom, independence of decision making, and not kneeling in front of anybody. So this was what's happened in our region. Why today then we have confrontation and threats coming from the open brutal war in Europe? It was very easy for all population, all political parties to say that this war against Ukraine, it's a war against us. We felt that way, all people felt that way. And we opened the borders for the refugees from Ukraine. We supported fully. And now our regions who have a neighborhood and borders with Russia, including your country, we are the largest supporters of Ukraine. Nordic countries, Baltic countries, Poland. We in the group of most understanding countries. And it is because we are very close to the neighbor who is behaving aggressively, and we even can describe it that the bandit wants to have respect of its neighbors. He wants to beat it by force, by destroyment and military wars. That's what neighbor we have, all of us together. So why it is so important for future of Europe, not only to develop ourselves, to be prosperous, but also to learn and to return and to restore our capabilities to defend ourselves. Because until now we thought maybe Americans, maybe NATO somewhere, but NATO we, each of our countries, our people are NATO. And nobody will come, nobody will help except ourselves. So this comes more and more in our conscious understanding. And ironically, I was joking that for that I always thank Putin. Because he helped us to be faster, to be more efficient, and to understand that we still need to learn and to keep capability to defend ourselves, to protect democracy, to protect our people by ourselves. And this is coming a little bit slowly, maybe too slow, and it is a problem, of course, but at least in our region, in your country, in our countries, we understand the real danger of and consequences, what will happen if we will be not able to be on time and learn how to restore our defense capacities and capabilities. So that's a short introduction, and I think knowing my experience, I'm ready to work with the moderator and then to answer any of your questions.
Thank you so much, President Dalia. And I have to ask you first, that huge change for your country from a Soviet republic to becoming a staunch NATO member, an EU member, how would you describe that process?
As the best times in my life. No, I'm serious. For my generation, it was so challenging, but so important part of your professional and personal life. Because for later generations, you get no such challenges, except now they are coming. But for us, I remember the first negotiations on free trade agreement with Swedish delegation. It was first time. I knew that nobody behind me in Lithuania knows what it is. Me also. I was sitting with 5 vocabularies on economic definitions, what that means, and was negotiating and learning from the partner in front of me. And I want just to say how lucky we have been that Nordic countries came the first and helped us. You all being the first. In our region, and you helped us and you teach us. And you did this without such kind of, looking down. You teach with respect as equals. And this for us was also a surprising learning of attitude. And the first decade from this years was we were learning from everything. My first visit also was in 1991 to Sweden. First time out of Soviet Union. So after the curtain was drawn. So was very interesting times, very challenging, and we were able in 10 years, from 92 was the first, our treaty with the European Union, in 10 years we managed to become, to finish negotiations, and in 2004 we became a member. So this time was golden time for country also, because during this time you had the pressure to make huge reforms, huge changes. In peaceful times, it will be any political debates, people were not eager to sacrifice or to change so fast, but in such pressure for membership, it was perfect, golden time for country to reform. So I'm very happy that we did this.
Yeah, and that mentality, you talked about attitude, and you grew up in the Soviet Union, as I said. You studied in Vladimir Putin's hometown, St. Petersburg, and do you feel that gives you a better way of understanding how he thinks?
I think nobody knows. Nobody can blame that he knows or she knows. But some feeling, of course, about ideology, about how society feels under such ideological indoctrination. Yes, we've gone through this. Especially my generation before me, I mean our fathers and mothers, they went through such kind of indoctrination, which is again starting to be the case in Russia now, as Stalin's time of ideological indoctrination, the threats, the repressions. So the cycle of history is returning back to Russia in the worst way, with this spillover of war outside Russia. So yes, we think we understand better. But I don't think we can say that we understand in full, and that's a problem, because we're not able to be in their shoes and understand all motivations appropriately. We're doing a lot of mistaken, I think, decisions, and our speed of preparation for the challenges is too slow in comparison.
Why is that, you think? Why do you see the speed being too slow in Europe?
I think even psychologically for people, it's very difficult to accept, not to understand, but to accept that such danger is so real. We still try to push this out, and you think that it will go maybe over your head, that such brutality in 21st century could be the fact on your border. It's so difficult to accept. And that's more or less only this reason, because otherwise, in our region, on the border, it's not so difficult. We feel it, we understand it, and we are worried. But if you go more far from the border, you see this kind of, push as far as possible, such even the thought about danger and try to delay. Because if you delay, you're not taking measures, that means the threat is somewhere away. We are doing this, but we learned how to live with this all Sovietization time, and now with such neighbor, the main thing is not to be afraid, because they are feeding, these people, they're feeding on the threat and on the sense of afraidness, and especially now during the war.
And you have become known for being very outspoken. You have been clear in your warnings against Putin. You have compared Putin to Hitler and Stalin many years ago. And what kind of reactions are you getting from other Western leaders before Ukraine?
If you ask Ukrainians my name, they will say, "Oh, our Dalia." They call me that I'm their own Dalia, and by name, because I was alone in 2014 after Crimea occupation, which stood up for Ukrainians, was openly saying that Russia is a terrorist state and we need to react. And Ukrainians, all Ukrainians knew it, because as a president I proposed the lethal weapons for Ukrainians already in 2015, the first country in the world. Everybody was supporting theoretically humanitarian assistance, all these kind of things, and I proposed reform Balkans. And this stayed in their memory that it was only a small country president who supported them publicly and was not afraid to talk against Russia. So that was first evaluation, but reaction was very bad. International, I was criticized that I'm hawkish. Internally, that I'm also too aggressive. So, and everybody's trying to calm me down and ignore. But now, after my candidacy, I have some relations with Hillary Clinton at Foundation and meetings periodically with her. So the first thing she usually does, oh Dalia, you were right saying in 2014. But now I'm saying to her, but why you are not listening now again? Because it's the same. The same we're talking, and the same the West tries to push this descriptions and evaluation of threat again. And again they're not responding appropriately. So history is difficult phenomenon because it repeats itself in not the same way, in even more difficult ways, but we're doing the same mistakes all the time.
And at the same time as you were free, getting rid of Russian gas, as you told us, other European countries were getting even more firmly embedded in this game. How did you try to warn leaders about that?
Then I came to office, Lithuania was paying 50% more for gas than Germany was paying. Mainly because we were too independent, too unwilling to give in to Russia's requests. Different ones, not necessarily economic ones. Why I decided to go to LNG. And of course, LNG at that time was quite expensive to build for us, because really it was not a free market to go and buy the cheapest thing. And of course, we paid a little bit more than if we will be paying even to Russia. And to explain for population, for politicians, such thing that you will pay more, but you will be independent. It's very, very difficult. It could cost you political career, but not in our region. In our region, the freedom from Russia was worth to pay. So I'm turning now to Germany, for example. For Germany at that time, 10 years ago, to say, look, let's rid of Russians, but we will be paying a little bit more. No way, no single person will accept it. No single political party will accept it, no chancellor will accept it, because he will be thrown by people from in the streets out from the office, and that was reality. Europe was on the needle of dependency on Russian energy resources. Cheaper ones on the needle, and was depending on it politically. Their political systems and political parties were corrupt directly. Personalities were corrupted directly. We call this phenomena as Schroederization. Yes. So that was the case of Europe. For us, it was absolutely different. For us, it was a real threat, and for us, our independence and European membership and European status, including fighting against this Eastern type of corruption of society and corruption business type, was at most important. And all political parties in general agreed, except small ones, of course. But we were able to resist this attempt, and why it irritated our neighbor very much. And we, as you said about the leverage and the place and role of smaller countries. We can do a lot if we have the courage to be irritating small, bad us.
And can I just jump in there, because you actually made not an enemy, but you worked on the friendliest terms with Obama's administration.
Not from the beginning. Not from the beginning. Then President Obama's administration came to office. They had this idea of reset with Russia. You remember the button of reset for Hillary Clinton? So they tried to reset their relations with Russia, and this was what was seen around the world. But what we knew, and on my table was a paper where Russians proposed to cover air defense, to cover Baltic states and East Poland, to cover, as we were already NATO members, but they proposed to distribute the responsibility to cover our airspace from terrorists. And I saw this, and I was invited to go to Prague for dinner with Obama to somehow to express an opinion about it and to drink a champagne for better relations with Russia. I rejected to go. Jesus, what's what? My advisors were kneeling in front of me asking me to go. American ambassador was saying that she will drop and her career will be out. So, and then later publicly one of the advisors of Obama said that I will never enter the White House through the front door. Never. Only as a tourist. But in a year's time, everything changed. And we became friends, and they finally believed that such stance, if you are knowing what is right and you're able to risk, to take responsibility to fight for it, it pays finally, but you of course risk very much personally including. But probably this, another example could be as how the smaller countries' role could be used. It's about defense plans. We became European NATO members in 2004. I became, after 6 years, a president. I'm coming to office and there is no defense plans. After 6 years of membership, there is no defense plans for Baltic states at all. That means if something will happen, Article 5 non-existent for us. And that was some kind of compromise for Russians. All the time there was red lines for with Russians. We became members, but not full members.
So NATO did not have a plan how to protect the Baltic states?
No, at all, not at all.
What did you do?
Well, we started to talk about it openly. And Americans were shocked, of course, because they tried to hide it, not to be in public and not to receive such kind of pressure. Again was huge blow. She's anti-American. What's that? But because of such attempts and public pressure, which we organized, and everybody knows public opinion immediately, why? Is it possible? In 2011, we got defense plans. So, just an example how small country, if knows and is able to risk to go for such kind of, to take the heat or fire on yourself, you can do a lot. And for smaller country, even it is easier. As your country, as my country, it's even easier to do such things than for large ones, because they're too native, too globally responsible. We can do a lot more in between.
It sounds easy, but it can't be that easy when people get angry at you and the criticism is mounting. How do you stay firm?
If you committed, if you understand that you're right and it is strategic responsibility. The main thing is feeling of responsibility. The same as was with this LNG decision. It is responsibility. What was pushing me to do one or another thing and to risk my private positions, because I was not member of any political party. I had nothing to lose.
And why did you not want to be part of a political party at the time?
Mainly because of Soviet time. I was pushed to become a member of Communist Party in '77. Then I was 20-something, because then I was studying, I was working in the factory, because you were not able to study in university if you have no such kind of limitless allowance to live in this different town. And these allowances were given by physical dirty factories. So I was 6 years working physical labor to be able to finish university. And during this time, in the middle of that, I was approached proposing to become a member, or I will never finish university.
Do you think political parties can have a negative effect in Europe today?
It depends. The problem is that political elite, I'm sorry to say, but at least in my country, you can see the elements, the behavior of the same as it was in Soviet times. That the political party is becoming as administration of guaranteeing the job, distributing the positions, and people less and less trusting to that kind of behavior of political parties. They're not fighting for the people's interest, but fighting for their own social positions and all these kind of things. And this, and also they're not, you're not now able to distinguish even social democrats from conservatives. They're more or less in the same, on populistic questions. I do not know what is in your society, but it's more or less what's happening in our region. So this allergy towards political parties was in my blood, really, and it helped me to be more horizontal, and people trusted me more than anybody from political party. And I won very easily, as I was not campaigning at all. My campaign was 150,000 euros in 2009. The same was in 2014. It was mainly for the internet site to be opened. That's it. Because I was very critical towards corruption, and the businesses were trying also to keep the distance, not to finance me, and I was not accepting finances from businesses also. So in reality, I was not campaigning at all. And this also helped me to be trusted. And people realize that I'm not asking to be paid, so that means I'm not obliged to repay. And I was absolutely free to do what is necessary. You can't imagine what a good feeling is.
I'm just reflecting now on the parallel to what happened in Ukraine when Zelensky was elected, very, very sort of much against corruption, and making that this big issue. And how can we learn from that experience of actually having leaders who go out firmly against corruption, cutting down even on their own salaries? What is there to learn for a country that is not in from the Eastern Europe area, but like Norway? Do you see that as corruption?
We all the time look into Nordic countries as our ideals of non-corrupting societies. So for us, we all the time try to learn from you how to manage country, how to govern, how to have the social model more or less alike. So don't say that you also have such kind of troubles. But corruption has different faces in every country. You cannot have something very much generalized. The main generalized thing is your choice. You do transparently and you sacrifice, and sometimes you risk your position, or you go and you are bought. But such choice everybody has in any country, in no matter how developed we are, and that's a very much personal choice. Very much personal choice, and it's up to the personality and its values and what is important for this personality, or to be rich finally, but that's usually finalizes badly. Usually, there's no good ending for that. Or you just want something to make a serious difference and to have meaningful life. That's your choice.
We have a lot of questions coming in from the audience. The only challenge for me is that this iPad now demands a code, which we don't have. So I'm going to get great help coming up and fix that.
Technology has different sides of the efficiency.
Just let's look at the elephant in the room while we have that fixed. We have elections coming up. We have EU elections. We also have elections in the United States. Donald Trump may be back. It has implications for security. How do you see the consequence if he is elected again?
Let's say from the very far. Donald Trump was elected first time not on empty space. The American society was already divided. American society was already closing itself and withdrawing from international arena. He was only reflecting the mainstream mood of American society. So that's objective reason. And then on the top, of course, personality. Unpredictable, very, how to say, emotional, and a lot of more things you can describe, because I had a chance to meet with him, and especially during this Brussels NATO summit where he was threatening to withdraw. And me and the Dutch Prime Minister, we at that time managed to calm him down and to, at that moment, stop the deterioration of NATO. At that moment.
How did you calm him down?
That's a long story. Long story. You need to know with whom you're talking and to be prepared. So if you know that person has capability to hold attention for 2 minutes, so you need to be prepared to say everything in 2 minutes. And in a way, in Twitter language, he understands. Okay, but that's all. So why I'm saying that for Europe, if to be serious now, elections in US are bad, no matter who will win. Because the objective tendency of America's withdrawal from international responsibilities are still ongoing, they're not stopping. And even as we see now with these discussions and vote on the support package for Ukraine, we saw that at least half a year the politics of US was in chaos and paralyzed, no matter who's in power. So if one administration, which is we have now, will win, the objective reasons of inefficiency of this administration and lack of leadership, which we see today, will be even worse. If we will have another unpredictable personality, it is unpredictable for himself, he's unpredictable. He's unpredictable for friends, and he's unpredictable for enemies also. So, it depends again from some leadership how to use this situation, and you more or less 50-50 here. It can be very bad, or even it can be not so bad. If he will be persuaded that Putin is beating his bad, he will kick back. He will not allow to humiliate him. So, here's the risk. And why I'm saying that it's objectively, today, the American policies are in-house, and they will be in-house no matter who will win. And for us, that means that more and more responsibility Europeans need to take on our own shoulders, especially in defense and security. That's clear, no matter what elections will be.
Let's dive into the questions, and we have so many that I would recommend quite short answers to just include a few. Do you expect the Russian Federation to start a military invasion of Lithuania? If so, what would be key circumstances?
It is a very speculative question, but it's not, it depends what we having in mind military. Because today the warfare is so different, it's not necessarily conventionally, you need to have boots on the ground. You can attack by air, you can attack cyber, you can attack your infrastructure in the sea, on the shore, not necessarily going into traditional so-called war. In Ukraine, we're seeing the mixture of Second World War type of last century war, conventional, and modern warfare with the drones and so on, including the cyber. So it depends. But the temptation to test the NATO, the temptation to intimidate because we're too critical, we're too supporting Ukraine. It is today in place. Even after 2 or 3 or 5 years, as somebody is discussing that Russia will be ready for conventional large war. No, they don't need to be ready. They never ready. Then they started the war. That's, we think we will need to be ready to go somewhere or to defend ourselves. No, they don't care about loss of people. They don't care about their capacity. They just can go just because of they're irritated or they are offended or so. Temptation is now, because now the West is in the biggest position. We have no leadership strong, neither in Europe, neither in Washington. And our defense capacities are still very weak. So now it's the most, I think 2-3 years are the most sensitive and difficult times.
For European Parliament is coming up in June. Do you believe that the new European Parliament will welcome new member states in their 5-year term?
No.
What future do you see for the Russian population after Putin's indoctrination?
Very, very bad, aggressive repressions.
In your opinion, what is Norway's most important role in the European energy transformation in the 2030-2050 perspective?
Guarantor of European resilience. That's your position, and you can use it at most. Because, especially during the last crisis, and now, Norway plays its very important role. Why? You are very much a target from your neighbor.
With Putin's history of eliminating opposition, have you ever felt your life threatened?
Usually, now of course I do not have such information, but then I was in position. I had a lot of temptation at least to compromise me and to compromise me. It was even some people sent to put the bugs into my residency, you know. And of course we catch them. They try to approach my security with that, but not as physical. They think at that time they thought that maybe making a bad image about me, writing bad things, creating my different biography. Even what they did, they paid for one of our journalists to write the book, Red Dalia, and translate to English, and they distributed this book to every European member of parliament into the box. It was absolutely not about me, of course. But it was done by a Cypriot representative, because the video was then checked. It was Cypriot and Russian citizen was doing this, and of course they took it out. But what I want to say, they tried to damage my reputation, of course, and personally very bad media was not only in Russia, even in Ukraine, but also in my country. So a lot of fake news, fake stories was all the time battling. But that's, you know that it will be the case, you go in. But about the more threats, about possible different approach, you never know. You will know that you will test it.
You said small countries can make a difference, they should be irritating and badass. Do you think Norway is badass enough?
Not the countries are not so. So probably it comes with the neighborhood. You have too small border with Russia. You need to have larger ones. So we have Kaliningrad and we have Belarus. So we have almost two borders with Russia. So we have no choice.
Should Ukraine be part of NATO, or would security guarantees be enough?
You know, NATO do not guarantee security. Security is guaranteed by the member states. Because Article 5, if you're careful and reading what is in NATO treaty, is not obligation to defend, it's permission to defend. So, if NATO countries, in case of attack on Baltic states, for example, at least one, will be not willing to go as NATO, Article 5 is out of discussion. So that means only group of countries, the same, just willing to help, will come. So from this point of view, if there is good and serious guarantees of security, which sometimes also not working, because Ukraine was given in 2008 and 9 security guarantees, then they were given out the nuclear weaponry. It didn't work, and even one of the guarantors became aggressor. So again, the first you need to defend yourself and to be prepared in full to do this. If you will battle so harshly and seriously, and with such determination as Ukrainians does, others will come to help. So there is no theoretical security guarantees. Who will guarantee you security for all your rest life? No. All the time it will be ad hoc, de facto situation which you need to tackle, and in front line you need to be yourself the first. That's no matter what kind of unions, organizations we have. Finally, it is political decision, political leadership and political will. Finally, everyone.
there are a lot of questions about Ukraine here, but one that I'd like to pick up on is there something Europe could do for Ukraine that it's not currently doing?
All of us, not only Europe, but US and all Western partners, in reality, we're doing as little as not allowing Ukrainians to sink, but not allowing them to win. That means we are not using the great opportunity which we have all to battle this aggressor, this criminal civilization on Ukrainian territory and to finish with it. We're allowing them to destroy Ukrainian people, to destroy countries. We're allowing them to threaten us. They're pushing us to invest more into defense and to not into our prosperity. So that's what we're allowing them to do. And even with this package of 60 billion, if you're looking into it more seriously, about 45% only goes to Ukraine. The rest is to fill the stockpiles of American equipment for themselves. So with this so-called support of Ukraine, sometimes we're supporting ourselves, not Ukraine. And it's a lot of window dressing for public. And countries who are doing more serious support are not talking about it. And just example, one European country, I will not say now the name, is talking about support a lot, but supporting 10 times less than its neighbor, who is not able and not, not knowing how to talk. Even your country, you're one of the largest by GDP support of Ukraine, but you're not going to the square and not shouting about it too loudly. So the main thing is to really support and to understand that we're not supporting Ukraine. We are defending our territories, our people and our freedoms. And still we are not understanding this in the way that Ukraine still needs to beg for equipment, for military assistance. And that's a mistake we are doing. And if you look into the history of wars, what Russia is fighting, it's a cycle of 4 or 5 years. First year they're collapsing, second year they're trying to concentrate and to discipline themselves. The third year they're changing whole economy towards the war. The fourth and fifth they're winning. We are in the third year of the war with Russia. What we are doing? So that's the question to us, all of us.
And it's a very difficult situation. The seriousness is clear. How does Norway go from here? What would you have done in this context as Norway, as Europe's biggest supplier of gas, for example?
It's not because I'm here today, so I'm polite. But really, I'm very happy of Norway's reaction in behaving during the economic crisis, in supporting and helping some member states to go out from the Russian gas, clearly, and also military assistance. Norwegians are stationed also in my country as forward present troops of NATO, so I'm saying I'm probably not objective. But I think Norway is doing very, very good, and you're not just talking about it, but you're just doing, and it's the best attitude probably. And towards Ukraine also, and we're buying equipment from you, medium range also, and longer range. So I think you're doing very good, but of course the debate about how much and how fast, I just want to say an example that we are already close to 3% of GDP spending. We started 10 years ago from 0.8, now it's 2.9 approximately, we are going up. Agreed already, and we're debating about 4%, because we understand that we are on the border, the danger is increasingly growing. Russia today, if we can trust their statistic, already about 6-7% of GDP goes to the military, plus as much as we can trust, of course, their statistics. But all economy practically on the military route, and in my personal opinion, Putin will never stop the war until the end of his life. he has no way out now, only to have external enemies, one or another, whatever, to keep the people suppressed inside. That's the only way he can finish his career, and that's what we need to know and understand, that this confrontation, in one or another way, military or less military, but anyway, confrontation with Russia is now coming up to for decades. We're in the face of third Cold War, at least Cold War.
How far do you think Putin is prepared to go?
As far as we allow him to go.
So it's up to us.
It's up to us.
And without American support, if that becomes the case, is Europe prepared today to stand up?
I think if we mentally, we are prepared. Materially and physically, not yet. But mentally, more and more, at least our region, Nordic countries, I think more and more we are prepared. Because we know that once you give in, there is no way out, and there will be nothing to save. They're destroying, flattering everything. So that's the barbaric civilization or barbaric war type, what they are performing, even in 21st century. I thought it is medieval ages history, but it appears it's 21st century, nothing changes with this country.
There is a challenge that many European countries face now, and that is that the population is not growing so much. And for Lithuania, the population has declined significantly since independence. Almost 1 million, I think.
A little bit less now, it's about 700,000.
Yes. Why, and should we do something? Can we do something about this?
We tried. Of course, the standard of living was the main reason for us, and possibility to travel and to have education around the world was also another one. But now our standard of living is increasing, and some people, of course, returning back. For some, already difficult to return back. For others, easier. But probably we try to, and we have very modest social benefits to grow kids. A lot of payments we are learning from you, how much you are delivering. So of course we do not have such much of reserves, but still, then we go to even Belgium or France, their parental leave is only 4 months. We have 2 years, and with practically full compensation for women. But it didn't help to have kids, no. So that's a problem, that our societies, the more you develop, the less birth rate is as everywhere in the world. So that's probably another side of prosperity and better living. But we exchanging between each other the labor, and I know that a lot of Lithuanians are in your country also working in different way. In the very beginning it was less educated labor, now it's more educated labor coming in. So, but that's the reality of probably Europe, especially North Europe. Artificially you cannot just to have migration, legal migration to solve it. In our case, in our society, still people are not very happy about it. It's difficult accepting these kind of, while Ukrainians were accepted very, very openly and very trustfully, because these refugees are trying immediately to look and seek the work. They're integrating immediately into society. They're not willing to sit on the social benefits. This is accepted very well by society because they are wanting to live, to work, and not just only because of status. For the rest, if somebody is coming only to sit on the benefits, our population is very negative. And this is starting to be a problem for all Europe, I think. The migration will play a very huge role. Illegal migration will play, not refugees, not legal, but illegal migration, criminal migration, will influence very much the outcome of European elections. That's clear, and it will change why I said no on enlargement. It will change very seriously the next parliament configuration.
Some questions also here on leadership, and to get your best advice for young leaders, for leaders who may be in difficult situations. What is your best tip?
You know, probably there is no general rules or tools which will help, how to say, address one size fits all. I don't think it is in existence. What helped me personally and what my values was, but probably it is generational, and because we were fighting for rebuilding our country, so never go for money, but go for the job where you can do a difference and meaningful work. That what matters in the life, not money. And I started to receive normal salary only then I was about 50. Before, the first hour salary, then I came, I remember, to Sweden from Foreign Ministry, was in Foreign Ministry in 92, was $30 per month. You can imagine that we were not going to restaurants, we were not going to cafes, and we were traveling with our sandwich. So that's how it started, but that was not important. So, and this helped me, these principles helped me, and finally, I never wanted to be even president. But it comes. If you devote and you're not afraid to take the risks and to sacrifice, everything will come. What you want and what you don't, everything will come.
A final question I saved for you here. Has it ever come in handy or helpful as president or as a leader that you have a black belt in karate?
Yes. And why? In politics, perception matters. And then I came to Brussels by journalists. I was called the Iron Lady. The goal. But perception matters in politics because it works instead of using. You know, one thing what you're doing in de facto, and another thing what they think you're doing daily. Right. So, and some corrupted people already even were not trying to do this because they knew that I will understand. So, perception matters, and I was using it. President Dalia, thank you so much for coming and sharing your tips and wisdom and experience with us. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.